You can see I've already primed all this. Now I'm just gonna take a piece of seam tape and seam that whole area. And as long as that seam tape goes down into here and then covers like that, we'll be good to go. So something you should always have on your truck, in your trailer, maybe even your pocket, is some primer and some seam tape.
Hold on, I wanna see if you can fit that thing in your pocket.
When you use a garden hose to fill your pond, I promise you, you're gonna forget that that thing's on. And when you forget that it's on, all of a sudden your neighbors have a pond. So an automatic fill valve is just a way that it keeps the water exactly at the level it's supposed to be at, not any higher, not any lower.
And to have happy neighbors.
Happy neighbors, happy life. Hey, good morning everybody. It's Brian and Chris here at Team Aquascape. We are back at it. And yes, you probably noticed that I said good morning because it's the second day and we actually pulled off yesterday. Chris, what would you say the big reason is we pulled off yesterday?
It was your wife's birthday.
Dodged a close one there. I would love to have some other kind of excuse like our rock didn't show up or we didn't have enough material or Chris broke his leg or something like that. But no, it was my wife's birthday yesterday and you know how that is. Work-life balance, you better, whoa. You better get home for your wife's birthday dinner on time. It's one day a year. So we pulled off, got out of here, took care of the birthday dinner, made sure the kids were there and all that kind of stuff. And we're back at it today. So we've got probably, what do you think, 3 hours, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Left to finish?
Yep.
We'll get out of here. We're just gonna kind of button up some stuff here. Can't wait to show you what I'm doing over here, seaming this liner. And Chris is working on an automatic fill valve. We'll probably get that in there because I don't think we've ever really shown the installation of an automatic fill valve. So let's show you guys some of those detailed things today and we'll keep going. We're almost there. So I'm up here at the top, and this happens actually quite often. We kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday and how we were short on liner. We had tons of liner on site, just we pushed it a little further than we were supposed to, which is causing a problem up here at the top. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So right here, I was able to cut away all of this liner. It came clear out to here, which gave me plenty to do this upper pool right in here. But as I do that overlap down into here, you can see how far the overlap came on this side, and it clearly comes behind this rock here all the way down over in here. On this side, because of the shape of this liner, over here I have the overlap and it comes down behind this rock, but ideally I'd want that liner to come all the way down to here. So I would have needed an extra 3 feet to 2.5 feet of liner and I didn't have it. So got the overlap in, but right here, if you can pretend you're the water, so water is going to kind of move like this, and because this ends up being someplace on here, this, even though this is vertical right here, can you see that?
Yep.
Even though this is vertical right here, at some point it gets on a horizontal plane, and when it gets on that horizontal plane, obviously water can run back in between here and then out the backside of this liner right in here. And so often I think when people get leaks in waterfalls, it's in these areas. It's a low edge on a waterfall or a stream, or it's an improper area where they didn't do the overlap correct. To fix this, you can see I've already primed all this. Now I'm just going to take a piece of seam tape and seam that whole area. And as long as that seam tape goes down into here and then covers like that, we'll be good to go. So something you should always have on your truck, in your trailer, maybe even your pocket if you're a pond builder, is some primer and some seam tape. It'll change the way the project works. So make sure you have that all the time. Put in your pocket. Chris, let's show them what you're doing with the automatic fill valve.
You got it. Hold on, I want to see if you can fit that thing in your pocket. That's actually a very important point that Brian brought up. Just make sure that you're prepared out there because you're going to run into things on projects just because of the way that you're building, and you want to make sure that you're fully prepared to make a bomb-proof, leak-proof system. So over here, I'm down here in the reservoir area. As Brian just showed you, we do have a drain tile that's running in that's connected to the sump pump, and we're going to kind of use that as Mother Nature's autofill, but we're also go ahead and hook up one of our compact autofills, which you'll see right there. compact fill valve, click the link below. The automatic fill valve is going to be placed in the pump vault. It's super important to remember a couple things. One is what you want the desired level of water to always be in this reservoir. This is exactly like a float in a toilet. So if there's no water keeping this thing afloat, this thing will drop down like that, and this valve right here will kick open. So it has a wing nut on there that you can really fine tune and adjust where you want optimal water level to be, so that when this thing ever drops, the valve opens, water is let in. When the water level raises, the float will raise and it will close the valve. Okay?
And that's just going to get connected to this little 1/8 inch, quarter inch
line.
Quarter inch
poly tubing.
Poly tubing. It's like refrigerator tubing.
Yep.
And we trenched it all the way back to their water spigot back at the house. Put a little Y splitter on their garden faucet at the house so they can still use their garden hose, and then the other line is dedicated to this.
Yeah, it's important to think about this stuff kind of ahead of time, because you don't want to come in and rock all this area and then as an afterthought install this autofill line, because we still want to disguise it. The second thing that I want to remind everybody is where to place this thing. Okay, we are going to have a pump in here, and occasionally in pump vaults we'll have 2 pumps, and if you have a fill valve in there, there's a lot of stuff happening, so you just want to make sure that the placement is going to be okay. So right now we only have 1 pump. It's a 2,000 to 5,000 gallon per hour pump that is going to be fed through this pipe here. I'm going to put this fill valve, probably because the pump will sit on this half of the pump vault, I'm going to put the fill valve somewhere in here. So I'm going to take a cone bit and I'm going to drill a 3/4 inch hole into the side of the pump vault this way, go ahead and push this through, and then I have a nut that will sit on the outside, and just simply through compression that will fit in there, and then I have another fitting that I'll fit in the back, and then that 1/4 inch line goes into that autofill.
So really the hardest part of hooking up the automatic fill valve would be trenching the line right out to it. The second would be then the placement of it in the desired height. So there is that little wing nut on there that gives you some flexibility with adjusting where this is gonna sit, right? So you can set it, I think you've got like probably a 4-inch flex on that thing.
You're right.
But Chris, if we were to put it up higher here, if we were to put it someplace up in here, notice where the top of the aqua blocks are. The top of the aqua blocks are a good 4 inches, 5 inches lower than that. So putting it up too high wouldn't make sense. In fact, we want to get it down, probably down just a little lower, just above the top of those aqua blocks in there.
Yep.
That way we're not overfilling this thing, because if water came up higher than the aqua blocks, it's going to go out that overflow that we're going to set up a little bit later. Really, it's going to be pretty easy. Now here's why we're actually setting up an automatic fill valve. The customer wanted to stay at a certain budget, and one of the biggest bells and whistles we can put on a pondless waterfall are the aqua blocks. And what I mean by the aqua blocks is how many aqua blocks. The more aqua blocks we put in, the more sustaining the feature becomes. And with a 4-block system at 17 gallons a piece, 36, 72 gallons. Did I do that math right?
You math good.
My math awesome. It's just the practice with my 4-year-old.
Wait, you got a 4-year-old?
Yeah, that does that. He does that, yeah. 4th grader. So with a 4-block system, he'd be out here probably once a week topping this thing off or adding water. With a bigger stream like this, there's going to be a lot of water lost to evaporation and splash and that kind of stuff. He doesn't want to bring a hose out here once a week. Not that that would be a big deal, but what happens is when you use a garden hose to fill your pond, I promise you, you're going to forget that that thing's on. And when you forget that it's on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, all of a sudden your neighbors have a pond. So an automatic fill valve is just a way that it keeps the water exactly at the level it's supposed to be at, not any higher, not any lower. The reason we run a little 1/4 inch line is because all we need to do is drip, drip, drip the water in. We don't ever have to add an enormous amount of water. So it's just a great little bell and whistle on any project, whether it's a pond or a pondless, just to maintain that optimal water level.
And to have happy neighbors.
Happy neighbors, happy life. All right, enough talk. Let's go back to work.
Work now. So we're finished hooking up the autofill. As you can see, we have water running into the reservoir now. I wanted to show you a couple quick things before we go back to the rest of the video. One is the tools that you're gonna need for this. So right here, I've got a cordless drill with a up to 1 inch cone bit on there. That really helps me fine tune the hole. So this is a 3/4 inch hole that I needed to drill into the pump vault. I've got a couple pairs of pliers so that I can hold the inside of the fitting or hold the inside of the autofill while tightening up the collar nut on the back. I've got a razor knife. I do have some silicone. Also Also, some Teflon tape will work fine, especially if you are hooking up an autofill onto a skimmer box where the outside of the skimmer box needs to be watertight with these threaded connections. I went ahead and siliconed these fittings as I put them together, even though it's inside of the reservoir itself on top of the aqua blocks, but I went ahead and just did that for peace of mind. So you can see this is the setup here. We've got our pump, which we opted out of a check valve this time, and we went ahead and just did a simple union because we don't have any biological filtration, and we want all that water to drain back down into the reservoir out of the plumbing when the pump is turned off. So we have a union to an elbow directly to a standpipe connected to the top of the pump. But you can see that I have enough room in here to get my hands in here to disconnect the pump when needed without running into and knocking this autofill around. Right now, as you can see, this is that float valve that we talked about earlier in the video, and you can see as that float valve comes up, the water shuts off. When it goes down, the water kicks back on, opening this valve, allowing the water to discharge into the reservoir. This wing nut right here is that fine-tune adjustment to really manipulate where that water level is going to be. The top of the aqua block is right about here, right? So as that float valve comes up, I've got it set about 1.5 inches below that line so that we never run the risk of overflowing this basin and that autofill not shutting off. So it's super important to set your autofill, especially when the reservoir is empty, just so you're not working around underwater and that kind of stuff. It's just nice to go ahead and set it and forget it while everything's accessible and you can get eyes on it. So,
Hey Chris, send that up here.
okay, ready?
All right, so we're all buttoned up here. I've got my seam tape on. You can see hope you can see this. Here's the tape, runs this way, then goes down into that area. I've got my foam sealed up behind this whole rock right here. We've got our spillway in. We're using the little 12-inch one because it's just a smaller area. I've got all of that hooked up on the back over here. So my plumbing comes in to the back side. Super easy little connection there. Now I'm just gonna come up here and start disguising all this. So water's gonna come out of that area. Notice I set this thing actually pretty low, well below the top of this area here. As long as my liner is high back over here, all I have to do is get something cool up on top of this. I can bring the liner back up behind it and make sure my edges are high all the way around this upper pool. So we're getting there. Hanson.
I love what you did with the spillway, like in the upper pool, like that driftwood and stuff. I love your waterfalls.
The waterfalls turned out nice. It's got an incredible sound. You know it's nice when I catch you just leaning against a tree, staring at it. You know it's even better when the homeowner, Mike, come over here for a second, is already decorating. So what do you think?
These guys are too good for America. Unreal. I knew it was going to be kind of awesome, but this is way over the top of us. So, you know, I'm just got some goosebumps there. Really, really a wonderful job. And the devil is in the detail, but actually the finished product is in the detail. And these guys are really, they pay attention to detail. So, Chris, Brian, outstanding.
Awesome, thank you. Kristen, how about working for awesome customers? You know, bought us lunch, bought my wife a birthday present, you know?
At least he thought of your way.
Went out and got all these plants, which are gonna make it look just so much better.
Yeah.
As far as architectural design, you guys are master. You really know your stuff. You know, it's kind of a hobby for me, but then I got to sit back and watch the professionals at work, and it was better than TV, I tell you. Sitting up on the deck saying, oh, wow, that is so cool. So, anyway, thank you.
So funny that Mike was talking about it's better than TV, and he just realized that we actually have a YouTube channel, right?
I think anytime we get these wooded sites, I don't know what it is, it just lends itself to these kind of boulder style waterfalls. We had the topography. Yes, we brought in some additional soil. It looks incredible. It looks like it fit the space, and it's just always been here.
So what do we have? We have about 2.5, almost 3 tons of stone, probably another 1/2 ton with just little cobbles that we used from around the property. We're able to reuse a bunch of his hostas. He went out and got some ligularia, some pulmonaria, some spreading yews. So he's probably got $300-400 in landscape.
Depends.
In here.
Is his wife watching?
Yeah.
It was only $50.
Yeah.
$50 in plants.
Yeah. And so what an unbelievable transformation. We brought in a couple yards of soil, and what a difference it looked like from before to now. And just the two of us, huh?
Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, can I get in on that?
There you go. There you go.
Let's show everybody else what we've got here, and then Chris, what are they supposed to do afterwards?
If you like this video, don't forget to drop a comment in the the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Tell all your friends.
Tell all your friends.
I will.
And most importantly, what's your favorite part? What do you like about this? The intent of this entire thing was to kind of show people what maybe they could do themselves.
Correct.
Right? You know, a few rocks, a couple wheelbarrows, some shovels. No heavy machines.
No heavy machines. It was 2 guys, enough rock to really fit in the back of a dump truck, 1-ton pickup truck. Yes, I mean, it's just a very replicatable project. It's nothing over the top, but it just looks beautiful.
I like the idea of maybe a new business.
I like your mustache.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
You look like Salvador Dali with that thing.
Awesome.
2 guys in a truck, huh?
I think that's already patented.
Is it?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, here you go.